I have a list of 5 absolutely game-changing Adobe Illustrator tips and tricks that every beginner needs to know. And in this video, you're going to learn all of them. By the way, hello, I'm Natasha, aka Natashko. I'm an illustrator, educator, Adobe community expert, and I've been a guest speaker at the Adobe Max conference multiple times. That's all to say, I know Adobe Illustrator, and the tips that I'm about to share with you are what I have found to be the most important and impactful. Essentially, these are tips that I wish that I had when I was first starting out. Anyways, I know you're going to love these, so without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right in. So to kick things off, we are going to start with applying shadows. Just to give you a full sense of how extremely effective shadows can be in your artwork, here is my before and after. Now, that is a huge difference. And for this first tip, I want to show you exactly how you can achieve this in your own art. So it's important to know that there are 2 different ways to add shading, and you need to know how to do both, and you'll see why in a sec. So the most simple, straightforward method that you've probably heard of is to apply a gradient. So just to quickly demonstrate how that's done, I'm going to select one of the petals on this flower, apply a gradient by selecting this button here in my toolbar. Now we want to go to the gradient panel. If you're not seeing yours, navigate to Window and select Gradient. In here, make sure you have linear gradient applied. Then you can go ahead and pick your colors. By selecting the gradient tool over in your toolbar, you can play with the positioning, angle, and intensity. And then you can select your other shapes and just simply use the eyedropper tool to sample that original gradient you just created. So easy. You can also use the same method for more circular elements. Just make sure you have radial gradients selected in your gradients panel. So that's the easiest and most simple method. But what happens when you want to add more complex shading? Like for example, the kind of shading you see over here on the tree or on the clouds. So with your shape selected, go to your toolbar and find this Draw Inside button. Once you select it, your shape should have this dashed line around it. Now select a slightly darker color and using the pen tool, draw in the shape of your shadow. You'll notice that because we are in the Draw Inside mode, everything that we create will be bound to that base shape. Now, we want this shadow to be diffused, so all we need to do is navigate up to Effect, Blur, and select Gaussian Blur, and in this pop-up, you'll have the ability to tweak the blurriness. Hit OK once it's looking how you want it to, and to exit out of the Draw Inside mode, all you need to do is navigate back over to your toolbar and select Draw Normal. And that's it. This tip is one of my absolute favorites. Mastering the art of adding shadows is going to help your illustrations pop out of the page and just be so much more exciting and compelling to look at. If you want a way more in-depth look at how to achieve this kind of effect, be sure to check out my grainy shading effect in Adobe Illustrator tutorial. I know you'll like that one. Okay, now for the next tip, creating seamless patterns. Adobe Illustrator will not only allow you to create a beautiful pattern like this, but the pattern will also be seamless, aka have no edges at all, allowing you to simply and quickly apply it to any part of your illustration. So let me show you how that's done. First, you need to have a few illustrated elements that you want to include in your pattern. Select them all, then navigate to Object, Pattern, Make. You'll now see this pop up, and the thing that you want to pay attention to most here is the tile type. You can go through and test out how each of these look, but I typically really like hex by column or hex by row. Pick the one you want, and now it's time to refine the look of your pattern. You can go ahead and move, rotate, or scale to arrange things exactly how you like. You can also duplicate certain items, or even add in completely new elements just to help fill out certain areas. Once you're happy, you can go to the top and hit Done, and now go over to your swatch panel. Again, if you don't see a certain panel, you can pull it up by navigating to Window and searching for the one you want. In this case, we want Swatches, and now in here you should see your new pattern. Now select the shape you want to add your new pattern to, copy the shape, and then paste in front. Now you can select that top shape and apply your custom pattern. If you want to change the scale of the pattern, navigate to Object, Transform Scale. In here, make sure that you have Transform Objects deselected and Transform Patterns selected, and from here you can change the percentage to tweak the size. Now, when we apply that same pattern to the rest of our skirt, you may notice how it runs seamlessly across our different sections, which we actually don't want. So to fix that, I'm going to select the shapes that I want to change the pattern orientation on, then navigate to Object, Transform, Rotate, and here again, I want Transform Objects deselected and Transform Patterns selected. And I can tweak that angle. Now that looks a lot better. It just helps emphasize the folds in the fabric. This tip is so golden, especially for people who are looking to get into fashion illustration, because you can save your pattern swatches and reuse them across your projects. Okay, tip 3, building better shapes. One of the greatest things about Adobe Illustrator is how quickly and easily you can use shapes and lines to create something new and interesting. For example, this scalloped edge along the apron or this lacy effect on the sleeves and collar. So let me show you how it's done. If you're not already familiar with the Pathfinder, this is going to be your new best friend in your illustration process. There are a bunch of different modes and options in here, but let me show you the ones that are the most crucial to know and remember. So let's take this sleeve for example. If I go ahead and draw out the forms that I want to stamp into this base shape, like so, select them all and then click the exclude option, it will essentially create these gaps or holes, which in this case is meant to approximate lace. And yes, of course, you'll also want to eyedrop the correct color back onto the shape once you're done too. And now for the apron, if you want to create a scalloped edge, one way you can do that is by manually drawing it in like this. But A, this is going to take forever, and B, it's probably going to get a little messy and irregular. So instead, create a circle shape and use that to build out the scalloped edge. And once you're done, you can select all the shapes, including that big base apron shape, and just click Unite. And now you'll have one nice, neat shape. Okay, and I just want to show you one last Pathfinder option, and that is divide. So let's say you want to have the apron be a little transparent, but you don't like how these shapes overlap each other. All you need to do is select these two shapes, click divide, navigate to object, and select ungroup. Now just unite these top two shapes, and now you'll see that shadow shape is cut out perfectly from that main shape. It's really that easy. The main thing to remember here is that a lot of the time, you can do something a lot more neatly and quickly using Pathfinder tools. So get acquainted and incorporate them into your workflow. Alrighty, next tip. Mass selecting elements. This tip is purely a time-saving one, especially when it comes to more detail and complex illustrations. I honestly don't know what I would do without this one. So let's say, for example, you want to change the hair color. Instead of going through and manually selecting all of your shapes like this, all you need to do is select just one of the shapes, navigate to Select, Same, Fill Color, and now you'll see that all the layers with this color are now selected, and you can go ahead and edit them all in one hit. You may have also noticed that there are a bunch of other attributes you can pick from. So for example, if I select the eyebrow and again navigate to Select, Same, but this time select Stroke Weight, as you might expect, it selected all the lines in the piece with the exact same stroke weight. So I can now go ahead and make them thinner, thicker, or even change the cap style if I want. So the next time you want to change something in your illustration and you find yourself selecting every single shape manually, stop and remember my voice. Use Select Same and work smarter, not harder. And now the next tip, amping up your colors. This is actually the final step in my whole illustration process. This is what I do to give my work that extra bit of oomph at the end. So chances are you know about blending modes, but still listen to the end because you might not be aware of this one specific hack that I'm going to mention. So as you may or may not already know, you can access your blending modes through the transparency panel. By default, everything is set to normal, but you have an option of all these different modes in here too. For example, if I select my cloud layers and cycle through the options, I can see the different effects that can be achieved. In the end, you can see I picked luminosity just because I personally really liked the way it looked best. You'll also notice that I ended up tweaking the blending mode of the skirt pattern too. So here's the actual tip. When you're fully done with your illustration, create a shape overlaying the whole artwork, and it can be any color you want, but you'd probably want it to be something that feels generally cohesive with the colors that you're already using in your illustration. Next, begin to cycle through the different blending modes to see if there are any of these options that just make your illustration pop a little, and you'll know it when you see it. And yes, of course, this is going to look a little crazy right now, especially because you have your opacity all the way up to 100%, but just stick with me for a second. So pick the one you like best. For me, I really liked how color burn looked on my work, and so you can begin to soften things up by decreasing the opacity. You can also further tweak the actual color you used. Or if you want to get really creative, you can play around with multiple layers, or maybe even experiment with gradients. This is just your chance to play and see if there are any extra opportunities to improve the overall look of your illustration. But of course, if you don't like it, you can always just delete the overlay. No harm done. If any of these tips resonated with you and you enjoy my teaching style, I'd love for you to join me in my community. And the best part? It's totally free. As a subscriber, you're automatically enrolled in my illustration school, where my mission is to provide the highest level of support and education to self-taught illustrators around the world. If you're on board and want me as your teacher, drop a comment below letting me know where in the world you're tuning in from. I'd love to connect with you. Also, I have a ton of other tutorials I think you'll love, so feel free to check those out too. All right, I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye for now.